What's one myth that men believe about female pleasure that needs to die today?
I get feedback a lot from women, like, men don't know how hard they're touching or how hard they're pressing.
Oh yeah, they were taught to play DJ from porn.
Exactly,
You know,
right?
they're spinning
Yeah.
the decks.
Men need to understand their level of pressure that they apply on their own, friction-wise, is not what women need or want. But also, how do you learn to touch a woman a bit more softly? And like, I have this 5x principle where it's like 5 times slower, 5 times smoother than you normally are doing things, and still you could even go even slower.
Oh man, I'm embarrassed to admit that that was a tough one for me. I don't know my power and my strength, and I like more petite girls.
There you go.
I think I'm going soft. I think I'm going slow.
Exactly.
I'm absolutely not. And I've had to have a very uncomfortable conversation where a girl straight up like stopped in the middle. It's like, you are like hurting. And I'm like, no, I thought I'm touching you like.
Yeah, you're a big dude, man.
So yeah, no, dude,
Yeah.
been there, and like I've learned to go 50x.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going feather, bro. I'm touching you like you are delicate, fine china. My name is Deep, and I'm the host of It's Not That Deep. Now, before we jump into this episode, which you're not going to want to miss at all, I want to take a second to tell you my story a little bit. So after graduating college, I worked for the federal government of Canada. Not only that, I worked in the pensions department. I know, super exciting stuff, right? Now, I was the king of water cooler talk, super long breaks, and staring at the clock waiting for my shift to end. That was my life, and I absolutely hated it. The whole time I kept asking myself, is this it? Isn't there something bigger, something out there that I actually truly care about doing? So eventually, after a ton of internal debate and quite frankly a lot of friends gassing me up to start some kind of show, I decided to launch It's Not That Deep. Now that was back in 2019. The whole premise of the show was to connect with people who I find interesting and to learn how they are realizing their potential in whatever domain. Now I also wanted to have some kind of show where I could document my journey, something where, you know, if I have kids or grandkids one day and they ask, you know, what I was doing at 26, 27, I'd tell them, go to YouTube, check it out. So that single decision flipped my life upside down because it led me to meeting a bunch of incredible entrepreneurs, CEOs, athletes, artists, and everything in between. From there, connecting with the right people led me to starting my own media company. And that's when I met my current business partner, Jamie Lee, through this podcast. So then in 2021, we launched Deep Social Brands. Fast forward to now, we've done over $2.5 million in sales. We've traveled the world, moved countries, built teams, built incredible relationships, and we've gotten to film content all around the world. Like right now, I'm in Panama. We're filming content with one of our clients. And the crazy part is I don't even have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube yet. But none of those vanity metrics or anything like that actually truly mattered, because putting out content changed my life. I'm telling you, if you just commit to hitting publish, I guarantee it'll change your life in ways that you can't even fathom. And that's why Jamie and I decided to launch putoutcontent.com to help you realize your potential through putting out content. And no, don't worry, it's not just another agency. So if you are serious about growing online, connecting with people around the world, and living the life of your dreams, and if you're tired about guessing what to post, what the strategy should be, how to get your videos edited, how to even film them, or just generally how to put out content, head over to putoutcontent.com. You'll thank me later. But for now, let's get to this episode of It's Not That Deep. Jackson Hightower, an honor and a privilege once again, my brother.
Always, Deep.
Recording this one in Medellin, Colombia, so it's special. Really cool. But I'm gonna dive right in, man.
Let's do it.
Is it better to have size or hip mobility in the bedroom?
Hip mobility. Can always work on hip mobility and always get better angles and deeper angles. Size, you're given, generally speaking, what you got. So if you don't get that, there's always hope. But even if you're big, like I get so much feedback from people on social, women on social, that they'd rather have someone who knows what they're doing that's smaller, who can actually get into deeper angles because they're flexible in the bedroom, than someone who's just outright big. Sometimes big, by the way, I get a lot of feedback that big is actually not that awesome, which is fascinating to think about. But
The motion of the ocean.
correct.
Am I right?
Correct.
Well, if that's true, what exercises do you recommend men do then to improve their hip mobility?
So the best exercises to improve hip mobility are anything that focuses on your adductors. The adductors are the muscles like like basically go from your groin to the inside of your knee. So knee splays are great. Anything that like Superman wise is fantastic, where you're actually doing a push up and how do I explain this? You're doing a push up while you're also moving your knees. Anything that you can get down on the ground and like practice stretching your knees out is fantastic. I have something called the zipper, which you know is an exercise where you basically move on the mat in a low position to keep getting wider and wider angles with the adductors. But most men don't have phenomenal hip mobility as a gender, and also the adductor is usually really tight,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the inside area. So the more you can flex and get that stretched out, you're going to be much better.
Do you recommend yoga at all? That's like,
Yoga's fantastic. Yoga's fantastic. Pilates can be really good. I also have a whole series of like sexercises specifically for men and women, but men to target those areas. But if you don't do that, yoga is great. Anything that gets you into your hips,
Mhm.
like lower back, hip mobility is super important.
I like that one where like you kind of like you put your legs out and you're like a frog.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I'm talking about.
That one's been
Yeah.
killer for me.
Yep. So my background obviously was in martial arts, right? I did, Taekwondo from 4 years old until 14. Third degree black belt by the time I was 14. But like obviously when you're young, you're super mobile, you're super bendy, but we had flexibility, right? You do splits, you do sideways splits, you do front splits, you do high kicks. That was a huge benefit to me in getting my flexibility and getting that foundation started. So anyone who's doing Muay Thai, jujitsu, Taekwondo, karate, anything that's using legs and kicking and getting into those hips is going to be at a significant advantage. So doing martial arts is actually going to be helpful and supportive to the bedroom arts as well.
It's actually funny you mentioned that. I had that exact thought this morning. So the last couple months I've been training Muay Thai a lot more. I used to just really box, right? And boxing's great. I mean, great workout, whatever. But when it came to getting these kicks, I remember for the first time my coach, he literally just laughed at me. He's like, you can't move at all. And now, like a couple months in, he literally is like, he showed me a video of me a couple months ago
Yeah.
and now, and I can feel it, just the fluidity of the hips and the movement, and, let's just say it's translated in other areas as well.
We'd like to hear that.
Jackson, what is responsive desire in women?
So, responsive desire is the theory about female arousal, and female arousal is not the same as male arousal. Male arousal is basically like there's a visual stimulus, and men get aroused from looking at something that they're attracted to, a woman, some skin, anything on social media, etc., and obviously pornography. You look at something and immediate arousal. It's a visual cue only. Responsive desire is what I use and I educate men about is like how women are different than men, right? Men are like fire, immediately hot. Women are like water. They need time to boil. So when a woman is emotionally safe, she feels intellectually met, she feels spiritually connected to, she feels like there's a safety in the environment, in addition to, yes, you're attractive and like, yes, you're present with her, she has to have a lot of different cues that are met before she's able to get into her most feminine, right? And get into that place where she can drop into an orgasmic state. A lot of men don't do enough foreplay because they think, oh, well, I'm turned on, so she's going to be turned on. That's not how it works. A woman, yes, will get turned on by foreplay, but she also needs mental foreplay. She needs the texting throughout the day
Oh, yeah.
beforehand, the polarity driven
Well,
text.
it's like storytelling, right?
Exactly.
You needed to, like, wake up that fantasy in them,
Exactly.
and it starts way before you even see them, like you
Yeah.
said, yeah.
Yeah. So it's mind, it's body, it's spirit, it's all the different factors that go into making a woman feel safe and trusting with you. And then she's able to drop into her most feminine and achieve higher states of pleasure because she feels met across a variety of different areas.
I've made that mistake up until, even recently. Sometimes you think selfishly of like, what do I want? And even knowing how much foreplay you gotta do all the things, sometimes when you even get comfortable with someone and you know them and you kind of take it for granted that like you still gotta do all the things.
Yeah.
It's not you gotta preheat the oven, so
Yeah.
to speak. It's
Yeah.
not it's not just throw it right in and we're good to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's, it's checking boxes. It seems like it's maybe not the best analogy, but, like, a man has to do more than just show up,
Hmm.
right? We have to do more to allow a woman to feel safe and trusting in our environment.
What do you think is the biggest mistake women make in the bedroom?
Not communicating their desires. I find that women just expect men to necessarily know what to do, and while that can be okay, it's also not enough. A woman should be exploring and understanding her own body on her own, and then be able to share and communicate that with a man in a way that feels like, um, supportive to him in the experience together. Men, when I really think about our experience being intimate with a woman, there is so much that we need to do. I mean, think about what we need to do, right? We need to make sure everything is working on our body, right? We need to figure out what she likes. We need to figure out different moves that we can do. We need to understand, listen, adapt, adjust, all while we have to physically perform, actions. And so it's sometimes like we need support, right? We need to hear from a woman, from her voice, from her tonality, direct communication, right there, whatever it is. If a woman just expects us to know everything, it's not enough, you
And
know?
that nonverbal, like, affection too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's something, like, where it's like when someone hugs you a little bit tighter or they, claw on your back or something, it's telling you, "Yes,
Yeah.
more, please," without saying the words. Like, a lot of the communication actually, yeah, that's my next question for you. How much of the sex is nonverbal communication?
It's so much of it isn't directly saying something. It's the way that they move. It's the way that they open their body. It's, the things that you can notice about a woman is her skin flushed. She can't fake that. Are her nipples erect? She can't fake that. Is she cooing and purring and making moans? Like usually that's indicative of like, okay, yes. Is she closing? Is she shuddering? Is she holding her breath? Is she, like that's so you have to pay attention as a guy.
To me, the biggest one's eye contact too.
Mhm.
Like, you could tell a lot from the windows of the soul, bro. It's right there.
And it's also really intimate. When you get into that space and you're connecting with a woman and you're eye to eye, left eye to left eye, that's what I always tell guys is like that's the intimate side versus like right eye to right eye is more like, you and I look right eye to right eye. But if I'm with a woman, I'm connecting with her left eye. It's like the more open, side of her.
You don't wanna give me some left eye, bro? If you were the head of education, what would your sex ed curriculum look like?
The sex ed curriculum would look like the information that's in my app that's coming out, called Better Mastery. But it would be a comprehensive guide that shares appropriate, relevant, and I would say like physiological, psychological information with men and boys and girls, right? Teenagers, um, that gives them an actual understanding of how this stuff works, right? Currently, we're in a situation where you learn very, very, very topical, basic things like how to put on a condom and if you have sex, you can get pregnant with someone. It doesn't get into any of the nuances of like, hey, you're actually like creating a very sacred experience by being inside of a woman,
Life
you know?
forces being exchanged.
Exactly. So instead of like, oh, don't have sex because you can get pregnant, we're just going to push this aside. You have to actually teach and share. And like in my courses, in my programs, I go through all of it, from beginning, middle to end, right? There's a whole um, journey that we go through in our sexual experiences to what is consent? What does that mean in this day and age, right? What is having respectful boundaries? What is understanding, what penetration does energetically? How do you connect after the experience, right? People forget about aftercare. So it's all so important. But it's not just like, okay, this is what you can do if you have sex. That's so it's like scratching the tiniest surface of what's available and what's possible. And that's what one of my goals is actually like, how do we get this into parents' hands, right? You may not believe or think anything ever. You may not believe that everything I say is on point, but sure as hell, it's better than anything that they're watching, which is porn, right? The alternative is they're going to watch pornography, right? So I say like, look, check out these programs, like look at the courses. I teach you guys about how to be high value. What does that mean? How do you understand about yourself, right? How do you have good masculine role models? How do we get into more of the mental side of things, of like career and finances, et cetera, because all of that is part of being a man. And then you bring it into the sexual realm, right? So
Kind of controversial though, right? That word appropriate. What is appropriate? When is it appropriate? How would you deal with that as, head of education?
teenagers need to learn about this stuff. They need to have those conversations because they're seeing it on social media, right? I talk about this a lot with the For You feeds and Snapchat and on X. Like a lot of these programs are softcore porn as is. So if you're going to say, oh, well, that's okay, but we can't dive deeper into these topics, what is appropriate? Appropriate is, understanding that to a parent, you may not agree with everything that I say, but is it in line with how people should be treated generally, right? And so it is a very fine line. But currently, it's porn or nothing,
Yeah.
and there needs to be something in its place.
And there's a forbidden fruit type of thing happening as well, where it's like if you don't talk about it and you repress it, what are people gonna go and do anyways?
They're gonna go watch porn, and they're gonna have sex.
I
'Cause
mean,
they're
I don't mean porn, but I mean if you're kind of preaching abstinence and, don't have sex and, whatever, and
that's
like
not gonna happen.
most parents are gonna probably wanna discourage their kids to have sex and not have open, honest conversations about it. How do you change that culture?
I mean, it's getting parents to understand that, like, hey, maybe you're not the best person to have this conversation with your kids. A, because your parents and kids, like, they're only going to listen to certain, aspects of what you say. But is there a third party that they could look up to, whether it's a man or a woman, who could be like, okay, cool, like this person actually has some sense of what they're talking about, and they're sharing it in a way which is, um, relevant and educational in its capacity, right? It's biological, it's physiological, it's psychological, right? There's all parts of that. So it really, the parents have to be like, okay, let's take a leap here. Let's see what this person has to say. And every parent is going to be different, right? Super religious parents may say still no, but parents who are open minded, they're like, well, we should do something. We have to give them something to check out. And is this person's content, generally speaking, are we okay with it? Right? And then, that's the person's content that they could recommend. But right now, there's nothing.
What books do you recommend men read to be better in the sheets?
Ooh. So, Pussy a Reclamation is great. The Way of the Superior Man is fantastic. And all of David Data's books, actually. Blue Truth is a phenomenal book by David Data, which gets into more of the sexual practice. Finding God Through Sex by David Data is also fantastic. There's a number of books by Mantak Chia about cultivating sexual energy, which is great, which talks about like how do you cultivate and bring that energy from your loins and up to your head. She Comes First is also a really good book. Anything that's going to educate and share a perspective with a man that he may not have understood before and give him insights into female arousal, female anatomy, female psychology, and also like how do men understand their own bodies better, right? We talk about like developing connection with your own sexual energy first, right? If you have a healthy connection with your own sexual energy, you can have a very healthy connection with another person. But because of so many men in our culture are dissipating and like relieving their energy and ejaculating and whatnot so frequently to porn, you're disconnected from your healthy sexual masculine. It's hard to have a real healthy relationship with your partner if you're doing that all the time. So, um,
Well, we've all felt it. You release, and all of a sudden, you don't have the most motivation or ambition to do a lot of things, but you retain. I mean, we've talked about this before, but you retain, and all of a sudden, you can move mountains.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that is like to me the biggest personal development hack. Forget every book, forget every single thing. If you just did that one thing,
yeah.
it can turn things around for
Yeah,
you.
it's basically like hacking your sex, right? Hacking your sex, like hacking your own life, and it's powerful. There's so many people, businessmen, entrepreneurs, spiritual people, whatever, that have practiced that over the last I don't know centuries. But like Steve Jobs and Mike, and you talk about fighters doing this, but also businessmen.
Jackson, why do you say that breathwork is a performance enhancing drug for men in the bedroom?
It's this breathwork is the single most important thing that men can do to become a better lover because it is the direct pathway to relaxing your nervous system. It's getting you into your parasympathetic nervous system. Most men, when they are intimate, they start getting more aroused. They start breathing out of their lungs and not their diaphragm. They go into their sympathetic nervous system, which essentially is something that's going to make them ejaculate much more quickly. When you breathe and you learn how to breathe, you last longer. You don't have performance anxiety. You get better erectile quality. So your performance anxiety goes away. Your premature ejaculation goes away. Your ED, if you have any, usually goes away because you have more relaxed blood vessels and you get better blood flow. So breathwork essentially is the key to unlocking or to key to taking away all of the acronyms, like the sexual dysfunction acronyms, right? Um, and it's the thing that I continually remind guys. I'm like, if you're doing Kegels, you have to breathe while doing them. You can't just sit there and do Kegels, right? Because you play like you practice. In an intimate moment, and you're in that position where you feel like your arousal is getting stimulated, and you activate a Kegel lock, but you're holding your breath. Well, guess what? That's not allowing you to drop deeper into your nervous system and relax so that you can push through that barrier that you're feeling of like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna go," right? So, it's the best thing that I've found. It also helps regulate your partner's nervous system. When you are calm and relaxed and present and breathing deeply, she takes cues from that, whether she understands it consciously or but more so subconsciously, she can relax more deeply. Right? Think about that, like, versus like it's an immediate calming effect, and that allows her to drop deeper so that you can have more pleasure, both of you.
So if I'm a guy and I don't know where to start in terms of my breathwork journey, what should I do?
So in my app that's out, Bedroom Mastery, there is an entire section for men, breathing exercises to help you get better in the bedroom, breathing exercises to help you last longer, breathing exercises to relax your nervous system. So much of what I share is rooted in the physicality, right, of the experience. And they're all in there. And so many of them are, you follow along, it's super easy. You go in there and you can go through a whole library of content.
And I've definitely seen it, man, just being able to use your breath. It's a tool you have with you all day, every day, and even beyond the bedroom, just being able to control yourself as a functioning member of society. It's really important.
Breathwork is the key to everything.
All right, Jackson, why do so many couples stop having sex after a few years together?
Most couples stop having as much sex because of stress, because of familiarity, because of kids, because they are not continually dating each other and creating that polarity, right? The man's job is to continually create polarity with his partner. And the woman, obviously, like, she has to do her part as well, right? She has to be connected and intimate. But the more familiarity you create with your partner, the less dopamine that you create. So
Mm.
the more novelty you create, the more dopamine you create. So that means that you have to continually think of fun activities that you can do, new hobbies that you can do together, dates that are outside of your house, dates that are outside of your city, staycations. As you get deeper and deeper into partnership, you have to work harder at creating novelty because novelty is the key to dopamine, and dopamine is the key to making sure that you both feel connected sexually.
We were talking about this podcast the other day, and we were talking about a lot of married men who've been in relationships for a very long time, kind of become like a plow horse, right? Talk to me about that a little bit.
So it's a sad and unfortunate truth is that in a typical marriage structure, one that works properly, the man works to provide financially for the family. He's often not home for most of the day. Um, his job is essentially to make sure that like everyone in his family's needs are met, and then his needs come last, right? His time with friends, his time going out and seeing the world, his time for whatever it may be. And so, if a man doesn't carve out more time for himself as he gets deeper and deeper into partnership, which by the way, logistically is hard to do because you've got kids, you got a wife, you got a job. Like, how much time do you have for you? But the more he just falls into this realm of like, I'm going to do everything that I can to provide for my family, and then I'm last, the more likely it is that he becomes this plow horse, right? This type of guy who's just like, he puts the bid in, he does the job, and that doesn't create polarity. And his female partner is like, she's getting all of her needs met, but there isn't that like dating dynamic still, right? He's just doing his stuff, and it sort of just plateaus. The energy plateaus in the partnership. She gets what she needs. He is sort of doing all the things that he's supposed to be doing, but it doesn't allow for much of his own life, right? He used to be a wild Mustang, going out, having fun, being with friends, interacting with people of the opposite sex. Like, how many guys is like, oh, when they get married, they don't have any interactions with females outside of their wife. I don't actually think that's healthy at all. I think it's really unhealthy, right? And as a man, we need energy from the feminine, whether that's your wife or other people or other females that are friends or whatever it may be, to keep us energized and motivated, right? It's like we can't just be castrated when we get into marriages. So I think it really involves men reclaiming some of their wild Mustangness that they used to have in the partnership and laying it down, being like, this is what I need, right? This is important for me. I'm doing X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, but I also need this. And I'm not just going to succumb to every whim. Easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
Easier said than done.
You said she's getting her needs met. Is she though? Really? Are all her needs getting met?
Well,
And is that why women cheat? A lot of them?
well, if you think about it, if a woman's in that situation, the man is either away most of the day and she's at home doing stuff, has a tennis coach or has this or has a trainer and whatnot. She's spending time with men of the opposite sex. Um, what are her needs at that point? Like, are her needs different from what the man's needs are, right? Men, our needs still continue to be like regular sex and regular sexual activity. Um, but because the familiarity increases, and then the woman is sort of like, okay, well, I'm either like, you're always gone, but you're gone because you're trying to make money for our family so that I can have a house and safety and security and food and childcare and all that sort of stuff. So it's a really interesting tightrope to walk, because, you know, in a proper marriage structure, the that is exactly what's supposed to happen, right? But, like, how does the man retain his autonomy in that traditional marriage structure so that he can still retain that polarity and they can still be dating his partner who may be, like, very satiated and familiar and comfortable with everything. So it's a challenging, it's hard to unpack.
For sure. I mean, look, when we talk about plow horse for men, I can't say that about women at all. But like just the same type of thing on the other end. If you have a stay at home mom, 3 kids, taking care of so many things and whatnot, does a man then seek out his needs that maybe are not being met? I'm overly generalizing here,
Yeah.
but like, with the hot secretary, or you talk about the tennis coach for the woman.
Yeah. It's novelty, the forbidden fruit, right? Where everyone, men and women, are both attracted to those things. That's what creates the attraction. That's what creates the dopamine. That's what creates the pull and the polarity. I think that in long-term partnerships, it's important that both partners commit to whatever it is that they need to commit to, but also create their own autonomy. But that both partners also make sure that they continue to find the things that give them joy. And I'm mostly speaking about the men, right? That's what I can relate to most. But like, how do you maintain that sexual mojo? Again, how do you cut the familiarity out? It's so hard, right? You have kids, you have operations, you have logistics. It's like it's a business essentially, So like, an iMessage versus a WhatsApp conversation. WhatsApp is for sexy talk, and iMessage is for everything else, right? That's one small way that you can do it. So that when she sees that message on WhatsApp, it's like, okay, I know what we're engaging with here, right? Separating your communication from logistical, logical, analytical in your brain to, oh, like he's flirting with me. He's hitting on me. It's hard to do that in the middle of like, what time are the kids coming? And like, where's the babysitter? And da da da. Did you do the fucking dishes? The guy's like, fuck this shit. I don't want to like talk dirty in the middle of this iMessage conversation talking about logistical issues that like aren't sexy.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you maintain those sacred moments
Well,
with
yeah,
your
you've
partner?
also mentioned before, like not changing in front of each other or using the bathroom in front of
Yeah,
each other, those types of things.
absolutely. Two bathrooms. Don't change in front of each other. Try to create more moments of sacredness and uniqueness.
Like, remember that first time
Yes.
when she took off her clothes and you were just so excited
Yeah.
and thrilled. Try to recreate that as much as possible.
Absolutely. And also like upping the ante in the bedroom, right? Maybe it's getting into some, your edges. Maybe it's kinks, maybe it's role play, maybe it's something that's going to create novelty rather than like missionary dog eat this, release, right? Like as you get deeper into your bond with your partner, it's really important that the envelope is pushed in the realms of like what you both are comfortable with so that you create more dopamine, with each other. And that's what the key is. That the key I've realized is like dopamine is the key, and novelty creates dopamine, and familiarity kills dopamine.
What are your views on open relationships?
Okay, so here's the thing. Open relationships. Biologically, do I believe that men and women are supposed to be partnered together for long periods of time? Biologically, it does make a lot of sense to me, right? Men are generally supposed to like at the more primal levels, men are supposed to like spread their seed. Um, in the civilized structure that we live in with family dynamics and whatnot, and religion and society and propriety, we encourage, you know, monogamous relationships. But they're failing so often because of lack of communication, and most of the issues is because of adultery.
I think
Because
it's like over 60% of marriages fail.
we are afraid to communicate our desires and needs, and therefore we like cut out of the partnership and do something that creates novelty and mischief and mystery and whatever that is to get you turned on again, because we're afraid of saying, we either need to spice things up, or like, this woman is really attractive, or like, I have this connection with this person. And sometimes just saying that like dissipates all the energy around it. But we're so afraid that, oh my God, my partner's going to leave me in this jealousy. So to answer your question, I think that open marriages can work for some people. But you have to be really not jealous in any capacity. And that's hard.
That's not me.
That's not, yeah, right? Like, I don't want my partner to be with another man.
Can't do it.
Now, 15 years and like 3 kids into a marriage, I might have a very different answer for you.
For
And that's
sure.
just the honest to God's truth.
Fair.
But like right now, I'm not interested in my potential partner, like my soulmate, whatever it is, if we believe in that, to be with someone else. I also think there's a double-edged sword where it's a lot easier for men to have um, or to have sexual experiences outside of their partnership, which are purely sexual and mean actually very little. Whereas I think a woman who is being penetrated is usually in it because she's more emotionally connected to that person. So there's emotional cheating, which leads to physical cheating. Whereas a guy, we can kind of do things and it doesn't, morally we know that it may not be right, but like physically it may not mean anything to us. And that's something that biologically is very interesting to unpack too.
Jackson, do you believe in one soulmate?
Yes,
You do?
I believe that it exists.
Really? I'm so surprised by this answer. Please
Yeah.
elaborate.
I think that there on a super conscious level, I believe that there is a person here for us that is supposed to be the person that we're going to experience this human life with. Um, I have studied a lot of esoteric things over the last 15 plus years, and I believe that there is something called the soulmate. I also believe that that person, you know, we may fuck it up and they may not be with us for all of our lives, but I believe that there's a person here who is meant to help us move through a lot of our karma. I also believe that there's like soul families where like people that you meet, you're just like, how it just seems so
Just feels
familiar.
right, yeah.
You become friends, you become connected. I've had a lot of experiences where I've met, women who I've been like, wow, like there's such a deep connection here. And we've started down a path of um, intimacy because I thought that that's what it was supposed to be. Like this person might be my partner. And then, over a little bit of time, I realized actually, no, this person is actually just going to be it's supposed to be my best friend, but not supposed to be my long-term partner. I can think of like 3 women in my life who are very important for my karma, but they're not my soulmate. They're like soul friends, so to speak. But you think that they might be that from the beginning. Um, but do I believe that there are a number of people who can help and support us along the journey? Yeah. But I think there's one person who's meant to do it. I'd like to believe that. We'll never know until we're gone.
That's beautiful.
What do you think?
I believe that we have multiple soulmates.
Okay.
I don't think that there's just one. I think there's just too many fucking people in the world, dude. Like, I used to believe, and I think it led me down a path, when I was younger of thinking that there's a such thing as the one.
Mm,
And then when I would meet people who I had that criteria set out in my brain that I thought fit that, I would over-index my love for the one.
sure.
And then when you realize that's not the one, you get jaded, you get upset, you feel like, "Ah, no, like, it doesn't exist, whatever." But then you feel it again, and then you feel it again, and you feel like you feel it enough times to feel like to the conclusion I came to that helps me sleep at night, that because if not, before I was just I'm such a lover boy, I'm such a, like, like, I love love
Yeah.
so much that I would, like, be, like, in a bookstore or something like, "Nah, dude, the way she looked at me, I'm telling you, bro." I mean, my friends would get annoyed, like, "Yo, bro, like, she does like." So,
Yeah.
I think, I think kinda just how I've rationalized it and, like, made it make sense for me is, "Oh, man, meant to have, like, many soulmates, and, like, you can connect with someone at a soul level, and it feels that way."
Mm,
I don't think that there's just one. I think there can be
I like
multiple.
it. I like it. It's good. That's good, man.
I kinda like going, like, down the relationship route a little bit more, right? Like, you always talk
Yeah.
about sex, but, like, let's throw some relationship stuff in there. Jackson, have you ever been in love
Yes. 3 times.
3 times?
Yeah, and the love was different every time.
Okay.
7 years apart, each relationship I had. And, as you grow from, like, a guy in their 20s to mid-30s to early 40s, your experience of love and connection and partnership, it it grows, it gets deeper, sometimes it gets a little bit more jaded in some areas, but, like, you feel love differently. Every single relationship I've had, it's always felt different. It's been more and more intense as
Mm,
well every time I've gotten older.
really?
Yeah, so, like, love for me has been and by the way, like, I'm a romantic too, and I love love, and I there's nothing better than the feeling of being truly met, where the person sees you, feels you, knows you, experiences you wholly and fully, or as much as they can, right,
Mhm.
for another person. There's no better feeling than that.
Oh, man, and when you meet almost, like, halfway there and it's, like, almost equal,
Mhm.
it's like, "Oh, man, being loved is really nice."
Oh, yeah.
Giving love is, like, even nicer.
Yeah.
It's,
No.
like, both amazing, and when it's kind of on a I don't wanna say equal, but, like, I'm looking for the
No, no,
word here,
no.
but it's when it's yeah, like,
It's
you
so
meet in the
I
middle,
use
it's
this, like, interesting analogy. So humans, like, our core need is we wanna be loved. We want to feel love and be seen and connect with other people, right? And so when it comes together, it's like this, right? It's super smooth and, like, you're both intertwined, and it's equal, like, right? I think a lot of times in our world, because we meet so many people and we're looking for this, whatever it is, you can kind of like, you kind of miss it this way, or one person's more into it than that way, or you kind of like hit the part and it goes this way. But there, like when it just
Mm.
blends and melds, that feeling, it's absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I think it's what we all want at a
Right.
core level. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you prefer to be single or in a committed relationship?
I believe that I have the most growth when I'm in partnership. I believe there is a cap to the amount of growth that you can have when you're single. If you're a growth-minded and oriented person, which I obviously am, being single is easier. Being in a relationship makes you work
Challenges you.
challenges the fuck out of you, dude. Like, you're like,
It's a mirror, bro.
"Whoa,
Like, it'll
yeah."
show you a lot,
Yeah,
yeah.
especially when you're with an equal partner, right? Like, that will push you, and you will have to face all of your demons and all of your shadows and all of your ego shit. Um, and it's, I think as I've gotten older, right, like, the the filter for what I'm looking for, like, it's a smaller and smaller spectrum of what it is, like, of a woman that I want, right? It gets a little bit more narrow. Um,
Okay, can you explain that a little further?
yeah, so I have my preferences. I know what it is that I like. I have the way of being that I enjoy. I know the type of person that I want. Generally like activities, mind, body, spirit, like all those things. As you get to know yourself more, you want someone who's gonna align with that more, right?
Right.
When you're younger, like you're still figuring a lot of your stuff out.
You're just like, yo, she said yes,
Yeah,
bro.
right.
She
Like you're
said
like,
she's
okay,
down, bro.
yeah.
Fuck it.
So like the number of women that are gonna be actually really compatible for me at 41 compared to like 25, when I didn't know myself nearly as well as I do now, it's just a smaller subset, so to speak. And so sometimes it makes it more difficult because you're like, wow, like I'm not into that stuff, And if you have your boundaries of like, this is what I'm into and this is what I'm not okay with. Um, but at the same time, it's also nice because when someone does fit that, like, you know that there's a real potential there.
Jackson, do you get lonely?
Yeah, I think I get lonely. I spend a lot of my time working and grinding and building, at this business. And, I probably err on the side of like not the most balanced lifestyle, candidly, right? Because I've been so like focused on like how do we get this information to the masses. Um, But yeah, sometimes it's a lonely road, especially being an entrepreneur. It
Hell
can be
yeah.
very lonely. I don't have business partners. Like, I got contractors on Slack, all parts of the world, but like, I don't feel like, there isn't that.
A little more transactional and like who can you really talk to about this stuff? Like even when you go out on a date or even when you're like you don't want to dump your business shit and it's like,
1,000%.
yeah.
So I would say, I spend more of my time solo than I probably would like. Most of the time, I'm cool with it, but then sometimes you're like, wow, like I would love to have my person here next to me on the couch, Netflixing and watching whatever it is that I'm watching when I'm, done working for the rest of the day.
Are you more of an introvert or extrovert?
I am an introverted extrovert, I believe. So I can go out and do the thing.
But
Um,
then your battery dies?
Battery dies and or I get really tired of like some of the people that, you know what I mean? Like I don't have a ton of patience for like the energy that's not on my program.
No, very much
Um,
the same way.
yeah, and like I like to cultivate a smaller group sometimes of like people that I'm super close with.
Yeah.
And that feels really good to me because I don't have to like be
Be
out there
somebody.
performing and not, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally get it. I'm the exact same way. I used to think I was just an extrovert, but I was just really good at pretending. And, then when I got, my own place and like absolute peace and when I travel the world solo and stuff, I learned something about myself that I sometimes I just want to just be alone but other times I want nothing more than to be around people and the right people,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
that makes a big
Yeah.
impact.
And it's like where you get your energy from. Like some people get their energy from the other, and some people get their energy from like the solar recharge, you know? And so keeping that in mind is an interesting part of it.
Hey, real quick, I hate when podcast hosts have ads in the middle of the show, but I swear I'll keep it short and I promise this will be worth 30 seconds of your time. If you've seen my show over the last few months, you've probably seen a studio change. I went from the fake brick wall with the tiny DJI mics in my small apartment in Miami to a fully soundproofed, audio engineered, cinema camera, gorgeous studio here in Medellin, Colombia, with the best mics that you can get with unreal lighting and just an incredible vibe and ambiance. The last studio, I made that myself. This one, I didn't lift a finger. I come here, I sit down, and I record. I don't worry about sound. I don't worry about SD cards getting full. I don't worry about lighting and all the headaches that come into the production of It's Not That Deep. And I upgraded everything visually. The audio is super crisp, and when I bring guests here, they take me more seriously. This is the Zone podcast studio in Medellin, Colombia, and it's the only studio like this in all of Latin America. The team here takes care of everything, so I can be me in this chair on my show having the best conversation like I am right now. You can't be the best host you can be and be really present and in tune with your guest if you have all these mental tabs running in the back of your mind about if the production is going smooth. So coming Going to a studio like this makes the show better for me and for you. That being said, the Zone Podcast Studio have officially become my first partner in this new chapter. If you are in Medellin and want to record podcasts, VSLs, or any other type of content, the Zone is the place to be. Head over to thezonepodcast.com/D and you'll get 20% off your first booking. Now, back to the show. What's one myth that men believe about female pleasure that needs to die today?
That more friction is better. So I'll unpack that for you. Prime example, jackrabbiting, right? That is an act of sex which includes a tremendous amount of friction. And unless a woman has been incredibly primed through lots of foreplay and she's ready and she's wet and she's juicy for that, it's not going to feel good for her. For him, it may feel fantastic, right? But there's a balance, right, of what's acceptable, for the woman's body. When a man is using his fingers on a woman's clitoris, that is the most sensitive part of a woman's body times like 10 compared to any part of a man's body, right? And so I get feedback a lot from women, like, men don't know how hard they're touching or how hard they're pressing.
Oh yeah, they were taught to play DJ from porn.
Exactly, right?
They're spinning the
Yeah.
decks.
So it's like men need to understand that like their level of pressure that they apply on their own, friction wise, is not what women need or want, right? That's not going to get them to the next level. So especially like with massage or with touch, like women are feminine creatures. Yes, they like to be dominated by men and feel safe in a man's presence that he can hold them, but also how do you learn to touch a woman a bit more softly? And like I have this 5x principle where it's like 5 times slower, 5 times smoother than you normally are doing things, and still you could even go even slower.
Oh
Right?
man, I'm embarrassed to admit that was a tough one for me. I don't know my power and my strength, and I like more petite girls.
There you go.
And let's just say that I just don't know how much power and strength that I have, and I think I'm going soft. I think I'm going slow. I'm
Exactly.
absolutely not. And I've had to have a very uncomfortable conversation where a girl straight up like stopped in the middle. It's like you are like hurting, like
Right.
you're leaving bruises every time, and I'm like, no, I thought I'm touching you like
Yeah, you're a
that's
big dude, man.
so yeah, no, dude,
Yeah.
been there, and like I've learned to go 50x.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going feather, bro. I'm touching you like you are delicate, fine china. I am not fucking up anymore.
I love that. And that's important is there's throughout the experience of male female sexuality and intimate dynamics, there is a different language, right? We speak differently, we have different needs, we have different levels of, pain or physicality that we can endure. Women need soft, slow, connected, right? And men need to understand that like them doing something doesn't necessarily translate, right? Just like women need more foreplay, men need less foreplay. Women need softer touch, men don't care about what their touch, right? So we have to kind of like get in this mindset of, okay, I know what I like, but that's not what she like. You got another person there, right? Like it takes two to tango. So we have to continually reevaluate and like refeel, okay, got it. So this is here, but like, is that going to feel good for her? Right? Is that too much? Like, am I pushing too hard on this area? And it's hard because we got so much other stuff in our mind, but it's like slow, patience, presence, like softness is going to be helpful until, you build it up and then you can do your thing.
Jackson, what do you think women should know about male psychology?
We are very simple creatures. At the end of the day, we want to be appreciated. We want to be valued. We want to be cared for and nurtured. Whatever our love language is, usually it's words of affirmation or physical touch. Those are the keys to making us feel good about ourselves and good about ourselves in relationship to her, right? It's very simple. If a woman doesn't know what her partner's love languages are and what it is that he needs to make him feel really good, he's not going to feel met. And there's just gonna be a consistent feeling of like, is this enough? Is this enough? Why isn't this enough for her? So, if you really care about your man, make sure that you stroke the areas that need to be stroked. And I'm not talking, sexually. I'm talking about like the mind, like the spirit, the soul. Like make sure that he feels that you really adore the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Men
Yeah.
love to feel. Is there? I mean, you've experienced this. Where a woman's like, she's like, "Yo, you're fucking on it," or she says something and she like gives you that little note. There's nothing better than that.
I used to think it didn't matter until like I stopped having it constantly, and I was like, and then I got it again. And I was like, that's so fucking nice. So like,
And it's so
it's
simple.
so nice to feel valued, and as a man, I think it's so important to feel like, to really be in your masculine, to have proof, to have validation.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, sometimes, fuck, we have bad days, we have bad months, we have
Yeah,
bad seasons, and
all the
sometimes
time.
even like us dudes who are, crushing life in certain areas, your confidence gets hit subconsciously a lot of the time, where you're just like not carrying yourself the same, or like you might have just had a rough stint, or like, dude, I went through like this drought where I hadn't closed a deal for months, and I started to question, like, is it me? Like, and my value was questioned, and I
Right.
felt like, am I like, oh fuck, maybe like I'm just not good enough, and like then you start getting like deep, like
Right. You go through the rabbit
you go
hole.
rabbit hole, then you go down to, therapist, fucking child psychology stuff of, never feeling like enough, whatever, valued. But, just something simple as like, wow, like I admire you for like how hard you work, or like you do so many things. I don't know how you like manage all that. I couldn't do that. It's like, I do a lot of things. Thank
Yeah.
you. Like,
Yeah.
it's like
And
it's
it's such a
simple.
simple thing to do.
Yeah.
Um, and it changes our entire psyche, and we're like,
100%.
well, and it makes us want to do even more for that
Yes.
woman or that partnership. Like, oh, she
100%.
believes in me.
Yeah. You'll
I'm
go to the
on
end
it.
of the world for that
Yeah.
person.
Instead of like this bitch is nagging me all fucking day long about all the things that I'm not good enough at versus like hit me with the good stuff.
Yeah.
Start with some good stuff. Sure, I can take feedback, but like make sure that I feel that you're my biggest supporter and my biggest fan and my biggest cheerleader, you know?
What do you wish women truly understood about men?
That men get their value from their utility and that women get their value from their beauty.
And I want you to now talk about, I don't think women understand how rare it is for men to receive words that they're desired. And like go on that topic of like how much that means to a man.
Yeah. I don't think that women understand how important it is for a man to get feedback, verbal feedback that he is desired, right? And that's such an important it's an important note for men in general, but it's also something that's lacking in our culture because women are like, "Oh, if I compliment him too much, then he'll feel XYZ." We go out there, we work so hard, we try to make all the ends meet, financially supporting people, partners, coming up with ideas of dates, all this sort of shit. We need to feel validated verbally and affirmed by our partners that we are doing a good job and that we are the person that they are choosing to be with and why, right? It's super simple, you know? Yeah, so if you think about it, like women often are much more comfortable validating other women than they are validating men or their partner. And it's sort of like a communal female thing. I'm not sure, but if you look at comment sections on social media and whatnot, women are just going back and forth and saying all this stuff to other women, right? That's supportive and loving. Oh my God, you're this. It's rarely happens with men, right? And I don't necessarily understand why, because it's so easy and simple to do. Maybe they think that by complimenting a man, they're opening themselves up for whatever it is. I don't know, maybe you have some thoughts on it, but
I
I
don't
f
know. I don't know, bro. The homies support me. The homies are in my comment section all day.
yeah,
I got the fire emojis too, bro.
but, like, a woman that truly understands how to be a partner to a man is a woman that can clearly, um, and affectionately and genuinely offer verbal validation, for his existence in her life.
It's just so yin yang to me. It just makes so much sense, but I can't really put it into words, but it is just that, right? Stepping into your most masculine, you are supposed to take care of shit. Stepping into your most feminine, you are supposed to be this caring, nurturing, feminine, I like to always say fairy that I come home to, and, you know, I got the meat. Like,
Right. Yeah.
we're good. We got the shelter, kids are fine, whatever, like, I just on a primal level, this makes sense to me.
Yeah. And that,
But, like, what it makes sense to me is, like, the kind of society that we live in today where it's like, "Fuck all men," or, like, "Oh, like, men are evil, men do," like, yeah, like,
yeah.
men do a lot of crazy shit, women do a lot of crazy shit too. I think humans just do crazy shit, right? But we gotta you can't solve that without love. We gotta first start with loving each other, and to me, that is such a strong expression of love. "Hey, you have value. Hey, you are absolutely this gorgeous flower."
Right. It's as simple as that.
How does porn impact a man's ability to connect sexually with a real partner?
Oh man. Porn steals porn basically steals his masculinity. Porn is the worst thing that has ever happened to man, actually, for a variety of reasons. Physiologically, psychologically, um, relationally. When you consistently get aroused by watching other people have sex, your arousal centers become totally fried.
From pixels on a screen.
Pixels on a screen. So,
In isolation, in shame, a
yep,
lot of shame and negative emotions associated to it.
absolutely. And, physiologically, you become satiated through digital arousal versus like physical arousal.
Yep.
And that fries, you have much more prolactin in your body, lack of will, lack of drive, lack of, your motivation, right? So the hormones are released in your body. It's like, yo, chill, like no libido, no arousal, you're good, you're set. On the one side, you get all the three worst acronyms, like the three, PA, PE, and ED, from watching porn: premature release, performance anxiety, and erectile dysfunction. Porn is directly related to each of those three. You also learn all the wrong moves that you need to unlearn, um, because you think that that's how sex is supposed to be.
It's heavily edited. These guys are all on bunch of pills. And the women are not actually really enjoying it that much.
No, they're not. And they are selected based off of features and size and all that sort of stuff that isn't normal. And so men develop massive amounts of insecurity. It's like, oh, I don't have a 9-inch cock. Well, dude, you're still okay. Like, that's okay. Um, so it's a massive, it steals men's edge. It steals their masculinity. It steals their livelihood sometimes. You go into depression because of it, isolation, massive loneliness. And the other thing too is like, think about this. If you're consistently getting your, um, but when you get off, right, you get this hit of like, oh, I'm good. I'm set here. So like why would you go out into the world
You
and
got no drive. Yeah.
potentially risk someone rejecting you?
Yeah.
Right? You're like, no, I'm good here. There's no risk. I don't have to work that hard.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get rejected by this person on the screen.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have no gravitas, and like that lack of risk taking, that lack of rejection, that potential rejection. I mean, that's what creates society, right? You go out in the world, you meet a girl, you go say hi, you have that conversation, and you potentially meet, have a family, etc. That's not happening a lot anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's because people are so into this digital arousal culture, this pay to play culture.
That's why I think OnlyFans is evil.
Oh, dude, porn, OnlyFans, digital dating, all these digital arousal systems, they reward weakness. Digital arousal platforms reward weakness because it takes strength and courage and bravery to go into the world and potentially have that conversation with a woman at a coffee shop. It's like, yo, like this is someone who I want to potentially meet. When you are consistently getting satisfied from low risk behaviors on the internet, you have no reason to change your behavior at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so why would you go out in the real world and risk rejection and risk something that's going to make you feel bad for a short period of time, right? So like people are afraid of rejection these days. Bro, like I think there's one soulmate, you think there's a couple soulmates, but like there's not 400 soulmates.
No,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't believe that, right? So like if you're out in this world, there's 8 point whatever billion people. How many women are you going to meet that aren't really for you? Rejection is a gift. It's the most important thing that men experience, being men. We need it. We're in sales, we get rejected all the time. But all of a sudden, like we're talking to a girl and like it's our ego and it's our pride and what are our boys gonna think and all this bullshit. Dude, rejection is it's an incredible gift. It keeps you it keeps you humble, but also keeps you hungry, right? Because you're like, okay, cool, that wasn't for me. Let's go meet someone else who I can potentially connect with, you know, and potentially who can love me and see me and like, care for me and vice versa.
Give me your best advice for a 21-year-old who wants to get over the fear of rejection.
Go up and talk to 5 new people every day that you don't know, male or female, varying levels of attractiveness to you if they're women, and practice conversations in real life. Learn how to ask questions, learn how to engage, learn how to be curious
And be present.
and be present and listen, right? That's all you need to do. Because what happens is, so say male, female, right? If you're a guy, we as men see a woman who's incredibly attractive and we immediately go into our head. Immediately. So I say the first thing that you do within 5 seconds, you go up and talk to that woman. Introduce yourself and say hi. Hey, I saw you from across the room. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Jackson. Who knows what might happen from there? But you've made the opening act, right?
A lot happens from there, man.
Right?
Not every time.
Exactly.
That's the thing that like I feel like people need to get through their head. It's like no one person has 100% success rate.
Nobody. It's like most of the time it's failure. And it's not necessarily
No,
anything
it's not even
related to
failure.
you.
Yeah.
In like failure meaning
Yeah.
like this person isn't for you, it's okay. Is that a successful bout? Yes, because you went up and did it. You were in
Exactly.
the arena,
It's the rep.
right?
It's the
Exactly.
rep is the W, bro.
1,000%. And
Mhm.
so what I encourage men to do is, let's just say go up and talk to 5 women every day. Talk to a woman that you don't find attractive. And then talk to a woman that you find a little bit more attractive. Because
You
what
will find
happens,
it so much easier at
Yeah.
first, but it's getting your training wheels.
you have to just do it,
Yeah.
right? Because if you only go up and talk to women that are attractive, your mind is gonna be like, oh my God, is she not? Am I not? You just have you go into
Getting
this,
anxious.
you
And
get into analysis paralysis.
Mhm.
Bro, I do it.
Mhm.
Everybody does it.
Mhm.
It's just this thing,
Yeah.
And so you just have to work through it.
Something that really helped me with this is just not taking myself so seriously. Like, I still am not the best at this. I don't I was a joke with my boys. I'm like, I'm not the best outbound. Inbound, bro, my like I'm like we're killing it. And what I mean by that is like we're in the same room and this person knows that I exist. Like we're in great shape,
Right.
very high success rate. If I do not know this person at all and I'm walking down the street and she's with a group, she's with her family at the mall, I have like an extremely low percent rate of even trying, of even taking an attempt. It's just always been very strange to me. And so, the biggest thing that's helped me sometimes when I do want to challenge myself, because once in a blue moon, but dude, I need to talk to this girl. Like,
Yeah.
I just really, really need to. I'll just be like, bro, like, what's the worst that can happen? Is like she like laughs in your face and like literally like tells all her friends, like, whatever, and I'm like, "And then what?
Yeah.
Like, so what? I'll just be on with my day,
Yeah. You going with
I
your
think
day?
I think I'll be alright."
Dude, you'll
And
be
and that's never gonna happen,
right.
like that crazy scenario.
And also, like, in that scenario, you were in the arena. You were doing it,
Yeah.
right? And, like, that's the thing is, like, you have to practice. You
Yeah.
have to practice communicating. We are here as humans in bodies and we communicate. That's what we wanna do. That's what we're trying to do. But, like, we're always like this now, and we
Yeah.
don't do that.
Dude, it's I mean, it's embedded into my brand. It's not that deep, man. Like, let's not take it too seriously. Let's just go, take the shot.
Alright.
Why are you against no sex before marriage?
I believe that sex is an integral part of your relationship, and if you get into something as serious as marriage, which is a business contract, and you haven't sorted out the sex between you, which is a major factor in most marriages, that it's good, that you guys like it, that you're connected, that there's good synergy. I think that's a huge, um, what's it called? it's a huge risk, but it's also like what's it when you're not seeing out of your window? It's a massive blind spot, you know? Like and look, culturally a lot of people who have, arranged marriages and whatnot, I don't think we're talking about that. I think we're talking about just like religious wise. I think it's a slippery slope and I think it's dangerous. And I don't think that you're giving yourself an opportunity to have the most fruitful relationship. I think you're actually cutting out in a very important part of it for a reason that maybe someone else imparted upon you, your your religion or whatever it was, like your pastor, your God, I don't know. But like, yo, sex is why we're all here, you know? Um,
What about not penetrative sex before marriage? What are your thoughts on that?
um, I guess I would questions like why? Right, so I'd say, like, well, what is it about penetrative? Is anal sex okay? I know that Mormons do that. Like, is putting it in and not moving okay? Like, that's called, what is that called? I forget. But, like, there's a lot of these things, and I think it goes back to it all really stems from some sort of religion, right?
Yeah.
Which is, like, suppressing and repressing sexuality, which is the opposite of what we really want. There's a fine line. I'm not for anything. I'm not for having sex with tons and tons of people before marriage. I'm not for having sex with nobody before marriage. But if you're gonna choose to be with someone, you might as well know how compatible you are in that realm. I actually talk with a lot of my clients um, are Muslim and they can't masturbate, and they can't have sex before marriage, and then when they get married, they don't know how to connect with each other, and it's really sad because I understand that they want to be really aligned with their religion, and I totally respect that. And also, I think it makes it incredibly difficult to like, you play like you practice, right? Well, if you don't know how to self pleasure and you don't know how to work your body in a specific way, you're just supposed to like magically figure it out when you're together. Like it doesn't really work that way, right?
Mm.
You have to,
And what are the ripple effects of that in the
yeah.
relationship, in society?
Then there's anxiety that she feels like, oh my God, I have to perform well, but I don't know what I'm doing, but I've never learned. And so you get this really crazy experience where you can't activate one of the most primal essences of being a human, you know?
What does your pre-sex routine look like?
Oh boy. Um, context dependent, but I'm a my blue erotic blueprint is sensual. So, and I don't know if you're asking me this particular question, but like I'm big into foreplay and I'm big into like the romancing of it and the softness and the connectivity. And then when I'm with someone that I really care about, like it's a long extended bout usually, right? It's a long extended session where, there's massage, there's touch, there's, me going in and going out. There's lots of,
I
play
love
and
massage.
penetration. That's the best.
Massage is the best to me.
I'm always baffled by people who don't like physical touch. And I'm like, well, how do you like, what about massage? Like, nah, I'm good on that. I'm like, wow, it's like the best way to really allow a woman to
Yeah.
get into her sensual body.
And especially if you're good at giving them,
Yeah.
it's really fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah, because you giving a partner pleasure, it's just like me, I'm assuming like that turns you on
I
too.
love it. It's
Exactly.
fantastic.
Um,
You got the candles going? You a candles guy?
yeah, I actually have candles that I'm selling. They're all coconut.
Oh,
No,
dope.
no estrogenic factors, no soy, none of that bullshit.
Nice.
So they're for men and for women, and we'll have them on the website in the next like couple weeks.
Mhm.
But candles are big. It sets the environment, right? Touch, tent, smell, taste, all the senses. Um, I, in terms of like what I do with I mean, obviously, if I need a supplement or if I need some sort of a pregame drink like that has beets or watermelon or something like that to get the blood flow going. Um, but yeah, I mean,
Let's say you're taking me out on a date, Jackson.
oh
All
boy,
right. Bring me back to your place. Do you throw on some Netflix?
no,
Do you candle?
no,
Do you shower?
I do
What are,
music.
what are we doing?
I do music, I do touch, I do beverage, I do,
What kind of beverage? What are we talking here? A little
non-alcoholic.
okay.
Yeah, I don't drink alcohol, but like some sort of beverage which is like light and fruit. Sometimes maybe there's like a little champagne or rosé or something like that for her. But I keep it present. There's foreplay, there's music. The music is in line with like how I like to get down, right? It's soft, it's slow, it's sensual, it's
Some
got like deep
R&B.
beats. Yeah. Right. I'm not doing like crazy like hardcore or like
No,
high
no
BPM
crazy
shit.
screamo or techno. I would just to get her in the mood.
Because the words matter, everything matters, right?
Yeah.
Like the environment matters, clean environment, right? Like soft, cozy, comfortable, Guys that don't pay attention to what their beds look like, I encourage you, pay attention to what your bed looks like. Make it an inviting space for a woman,
Bro, I got a pro tip. You know what? I'm gonna throw a pro tip in here.
please.
Philips Hue bulbs. You got to change up your light bulbs and you got to set a mood. You got to set a tone. I have not met a single person who's coming to my apartment and I throw on like a mood
Yeah.
and they're not just blown away like, oh shit, this is a vibe. Or like, a girl like really like might not even say something, but you could tell she's like, oh, this guy knows what's up.
Yeah. So it's like, how many senses can you activate? Touch, sight, smell, what is it? Touch, smell, scent, taste, right? So like beverages for taste,
Yeah.
like the candles, the lights,
Yeah.
the physical touch with your
It's all
hands.
foreplay. It's all playing before the act. It makes sense.
Yeah.
What's your aftercare routine?
My aftercare routine is to stay present, to stay connected, to be still, to observe, to listen, to be there. You don't need to talk a lot. You don't need to share your feelings immediately. All you need to do is relax into the most grounded, masculine state that you can be in and hold your partner for however long it takes her to get out of her, her state, right? So when men and women have sex, women experience massive bonding hormones, oxytocin, dopamine, etc., especially when they're orgasming. So she's going through this state of massive, massive, massive bonding, connectivity, like with this person, right? Trust, safety, all this sort of stuff. When men have sex and they release, they experience the exact opposite.
Pure relief and just like clarity.
Satiated, mindlessness, content, no libido, lack of desire, and really not that connected, right? And so it's hard for us, right? You've experienced this where it's like we want to get on our phone, we want to get up, we want to go to the bathroom, we want to take a shower, we want to like
a lot of the
get
times
on
I
to the
just
next
want to
shit.
sleep.
Yeah, or sleepy puppy. I talk about that all the time. So women are experiencing massive bonding, and then men are experiencing massive disconnect. We experience a disconnect hormonally. And it's so crazy because like, how is it that these two people are experiencing the same thing, but the woman has a very different perspective on it because of the hormones that are released in her body, and then the man experiences 180 degrees opposite. So we as men, again, need to pay attention and understand what is happening with our female partners so that we don't have a woman who's bonding, and then we're just jetting. That's going to cause trauma, little t trauma, big T trauma. She's going to lack trust. She's going to be like, oh, fuck, we just had this amazing experience. I feel cheap. This feels cheap. So to all the
Feels
guys
transactional.
exactly.
It's he just used me.
Right. He got his nut.
Fucking Chuck.
Exactly. So for all the guys out there that are listening, I want you to spend more time after, because after is where you really become like legendary in the sense of like how the woman perceives you, because she's in this state of like the most vulnerable state that she can be in. How do you show up then? It's easy to show up during foreplay. It's easy to show up during sex. Harder to show up as a man after that's been done and in the right way. And yeah, I've got a whole course on that, which I really encourage guys to check out.
Why is bad sex the man's fault?
Men generally are the leaders in the bedroom, and we're the driving forces. And if the sex is bad, either we don't know what we're doing, we're not capable, like body-wise, like our body isn't functioning properly. We're in our heads, we're not confident. And we don't have what it takes to allow the woman to feel comfortable in her body. We as men during sex, like we have more of the burden, right? That's a given. And so just like anything in your life where you need to be skilled at something, have you done the necessary preparatory work to know about her body, to understand her arousal, to get your body, to get you confident in your own body, right? Why would we go into a scenario like a sport, for instance, to go play paddle or go to play pickle or volleyball or whatever it is, right? Without having practiced, without having really studied, okay, got it. Here's how I am here. Here's how I show up here. It's the same thing. And that's what I'm trying to educate people on is like sexual activity and sexual health and sexual education. You have to study this shit, right? And so if you have bad sex, it's because you don't know what you're doing. It's because you can't control your body and you're not able to lead confidently.
But it's also, just to add to that, it's also okay. Like, admit that
Yeah.
you suck. That's
Yeah.
a step one. Like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm not good at this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, admit it to yourself, because I think a lot of people are in denial about it.
Men's egos.
Yeah.
We are our ego is tied to our sexual dominance and our
Mhm.
capabilities. And anything that risks us not being a fucking, dominant stallion, like, we don't like feeling that.
No.
And that, I was reminded of that moment earlier today. But it's like, Jackson, what's your origin story? It's when a woman gave me feedback in the bedroom when I was younger, and I took the feedback instead of getting in my ego and fuck this and da da da. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know anything. I've never learned this stuff. I've never had anyone teach me. I've never spent money and invested in learning about this stuff. So that's essentially the etymology of this business that I have now, which is like, how do we get guys to learn about this stuff? And obviously women, but like, how do we learn about these things in a way that encompasses mind, body, spirit, right? And allows us to unlearn some of the behaviors that we've learned from watching porn, which we've said is not real. It's a fucking movie with actors who are not really enjoying it.
What's one insecurity you had to overcome in your own sex life?
I'm a grower, man, not a shower. Well, I used to be a major grower, and now I'm more of a shower because I've worked on it for a long time. But like being an athlete in the showers, group showers, back in the day, we had like one big stall and everyone's showering and whatnot. I was really insecure about my flaccid size, and I think that a lot of men can probably relate to that at some level, right? Where, you're in the locker room, you're doing your thing, and you've got guys of all sizes, and I'm like, wait, but you don't know how big it is when it gets hard, right? Like, you can't say that shit to a dude. That's not how it works. They're just like, oh man. And it's something that, men have a lot of value and worth tied to the size of their penis, hard and sorry, to the size of their penis, soft and hard. And you know, so if I was like giving my former younger self, feedback, it's like, yo, dude, like, it's all good. Like, your value is not tied to that. But as men, we tie a lot of value to it. It's just the way that we're raised and through culture and society.
Bro, I've been there. I mean, same way. And luckily the past few years and like doing work on myself and like getting a lot more validation from women, like it kind of like it's kind of like a fun game now for me. First of all, I don't care about impressing other men. And you do at a certain point in your life, but I don't, doesn't matter. But it's kind of like fun to see. It's like, oh, this you ate. Like,
You're like,
and
just give me a shot, girl.
and
Just wait
then
a minute.
and then it's always just like, oh shit, and it's like,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. So
okay.
ladies, never judge a man by his flaccid cock size.
Yeah, and the whole gray sweatpants thing, I want that. I want that trend to end. All right, we don't worry about the gray sweatpants. What do you think of women faking it?
Unacceptable. Women faking orgasm is unacceptable. It's not necessary. It stems from a woman's desire to not make a man feel bad, which is pervasive in women's culture and society. Women not wanting to make men feel bad, and so they withhold their truth, or in this case, they act outside of their truth. Um, a man is never going to learn if you consistently validate him with inaccuracies. Um, and so, when I was younger, I'm sure that happened, from time to time, but it's an absolute no. And for all you women out there, there's never any need for you to fake an orgasm. If a guy's not getting it done, that is a way that he'll know that he's not necessarily in his right mind. You're actually feeding
Yeah, you're
bad behavior.
perpetuating. Yeah,
Sorry, you're feeding um, more of incorrect styles of connecting.
which will lead to the same outcome.
Exactly. So why, as a woman, why would you want to tell a guy that he's doing a good job and that he feels good, where it's like he's not going to learn from that shit? It's like it's the opposite of positive feedback or constructive criticism.
Yeah. Gotta go Pavlovian with it, like you actually
Yeah.
have to train a person. And like us dudes, we're pretty simple creatures.
We're simple, but we're also very sensitive,
Exactly.
especially as it relates to that realm.
Exactly. But it would actually bother me a lot more if I found out that she faked it
Oh
than
yeah.
if she like approached it in some a type of way of like, hey, look, like I didn't get off, but like you did,
Yeah,
type of thing.
exactly.
And so how would you approach that as a woman, that conversation with a man of like, look, didn't come.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the goal of sex is never it shouldn't be like I need to come, right? And that's the first thing, because we get that that creates a lot of performance anxiety. It's like, oh my God, I have to do this, I have to do this. The reality is, sex should be about connecting and enjoying an experience with another human. It is a sacred experience and activity. If you get an orgasm, it's icing on the cake, right? But with general male female dynamics, you want to lessen the pressure to perform so that you can enjoy and relax your body more. And if the guy's more relaxed and the woman's more relaxed, and the ability for her to achieve orgasms actually goes up. So it's kind of one of those like it's the way that you think about it is sort of opposite. It's like if you actually relax into it, right, and you don't have that as your goal, you're probably more likely to achieve it. As a woman, um, you're battling like, I don't want to make him feel bad. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. You don't necessarily have to say anything, but you could say like, I really loved when you did X. That felt really good. And you give a guy a compliment. Um, Usually like after the experience, not necessarily in the moment of the experience, because a man is very tied to his like most ego sensitive self in that sexual experience. And he has the potential to like totally turn off if a woman's like, you didn't make me come, or says something antagonistic or some bullshit like that. So I always, recommend like women need to be very mindful with their communication of what they say and also when they say it, coming at it from a very compassionate place, but also the right timing. Like I don't want to necessarily hear feedback in the moment, because that's going to make me like, oh, fuck. Versus like outside when you have that conversation, right? Hey, like I loved when you did this.
Yeah.
And like when you did that, like, I definitely felt XYZ. So it's all about clear communication.
I got a question for you from personal experience. What do you do when you absolutely want to be with somebody and have sex with them at night, but you're just fucking tired? Like, I just want to go to sleep. Like, I really want this. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I just had a day. Like, you and I just had a day today.
Yep.
And like, we're probably keep going. There's so many other things.
Yeah.
And if around 10, 11, I'm like I'm running on fumes, but now I got 3 hours to like
Right.
perform.
Yeah.
Like let's not cut it any other direction, to perform.
Yeah.
All I want to do is sleep.
Well, look, I mean, you have to decide what's the most important to you. I think a lot of couples get into situations and relationships where the entire day is filled and stacked with stuff and things. And then the only time that they're together is when they're both fucking exhausted. It's not good for him and it's not good for her. The nighttime is actually the worst time to have sex. You've eaten 3 meals. You're super tired. You're stressed out. You're home. You have
And you
no
got to be up
energy.
in a few hours.
Exactly, right? So I would say to you is like, I would say, A, change the schedule of your day if possible, so that you can spend more time either in the middle of the day or in the morning if you're with a partner. Obviously, in our dating culture, like everyone's out at night. That's where you meet people. You got to suck it up. I would say maybe get a little bit of caffeine in you, healthy caffeine, maybe a little pre-workout, right?
Okay.
And then like, you got to push to that next level if it's something that you really want.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have to structure it so that your morning is potentially more open, which I find like more like science backed. Like you haven't eaten any food, you're fasted,
And your testosterone's at the highest level.
your testosterone's at the highest level, your blood flow is at its highest, your body is the most relaxed. that is the best time for a man to have sex.
I love the morning.
Exactly. So you have more girls
Oftentimes,
sleeping over, bro. That's what
but
you
yeah,
gotta do,
no, no,
man.
for sure, for sure. I definitely love the morning, and like even despite the sleepovers, though, I find that women aren't, not all. Some love it and it's great, but some are just not as ready in the morning or as willing in the morning. So it's like, again, it comes back to the preheating, but then, I'm sorry, I keep saying preheating, but
Put her in the
so,
oven. Preheat that oven.
but no, but when then you got a day to start. Right? You got other stuff to do, and then
Yeah.
you don't want it to be a short session. I actually want that to be the longest, and so
Yeah.
then vacations and stuff is when I have like the most fun in the morning type of thing.
I think a lot of people find the same. And I think that we, as a culture, it's like we wake up and we gotta go do our thing. You gotta make time for the stuff that's important to
Yeah.
you. And sex needs to be important, especially in partnership and especially in long-term partnership. Are you making time for this activity?
Mm.
And, both partners need to be like, okay, cool. Like this is important for us, you know? Um, but yeah, it's all about creating space for it and
Yeah.
optimizing,
Yeah.
right? Like you're talking about biohacking or sex or like sex hacking. Morning is the best. After a big meal, like the time when people have sex mostly is like the worst time. After a big meal, after a bunch of alcohol, your blood is not going to your guy downstairs. It's going to your digestive system. You're not necessarily present. You're tired at the end of the day. We're setting ourselves up for like suboptimal experiences. But that's just what, we have to deal with in society right now.
What do you find is the biggest difference in dating women from different cultures?
I find that women from varied cultures outside of the United States generally have more of a traditional style of relationship dynamics. They come from cultures where the father in the family may be the more dominant, character, and it's sort of like male dominated, and the woman is, at home, traditional kind of trad wife style, right? And when you have a woman who has grown up with that style of relating, um, generally speaking, they also are comfortable with that and they like that and they want that. I think dating women now who are business ladies and boss bitches and all that sort of stuff, that's all great. But then how does that woman engage in relationship with a man who's in his alpha or his masculine? You can't have two alphas in a relationship. It doesn't work that way. So during the day, if that woman is like in her boss bitch, whatever, great. How is she disconnecting from that energy so that
Mm.
she can then soften into her more feminine energy to be with that guy? Um, I found that, women from American culture sometimes have a harder time with the traditional dynamic because it's like they're shamed from
From
their female friends. Or like, oh my God, I can't believe you did, it- but like, why? Like, why would they be shamed at like having a husband who like does all these great things and comes home and they're home with their being a mom? Being a mom is like one of the most sacred and beautiful things on the planet. Sure, you can also have a business and be an entrepreneur, but being a mom is a massively important job, you know? So, yeah, more comfortable women from other cultures I find are more comfortable with traditional dynamics. How about you?
um I think, yeah, the family dynamic makes the biggest difference, right? In North America, the culture is when you're 18, you leave and you are independent and you are on your own. In a lot of places in the world, you are never on your own. You have your family. So when you date someone, you're almost dating the family.
Mm,
And I have found that I don't have that much experience of, but I've maybe more short-term relationships would call it. I have just noticed that there's just a lot of different customs in, even like down to like setting up a first date, getting the Uber for the person or making sure you pick them up versus meeting them at a spot, which is very normal
mhm.
in America. Yeah, I'll meet you at this bar at this time. Versus no, I'm sending a car and it's a nice car, or I'm picking you up at this time. Um, yeah, I think also like masculine, feminine dynamics. I think having lived in the US the last 4 years and being Canadian and growing up, I think there has been a big push against traditional masculine, traits.
Mhm.
And it's been kind of like, I don't want to say punished, but like put down. And that's resulted in this kind of like effeminate man that we see that women actually aren't attracted to. And they're like this ally that's like playing this weird game. I
Mhm.
just see that so much. And it's like, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. That dude who's just playing this weird game.
Mhm.
I think that has leaked way deeper into like Western society than like most other places around the world. And so like just existing as a man who's comfortable and is masculine, like puts me my status so far ahead,
Mhm.
and I feel so much more comfortable like, just dating in the United States because I'm just like, I already won.
Mhm.
Like, but then on the flip side, money and status matter a lot more depending on which dating pool that you're in. And so that matters a lot less in other countries, but then just being the strong, grounded, masculine man is like a given. So now how am I going to provide you with an experience that's like greater? I don't know. There's just a lot of
Yeah.
things at play. I said a lot of things, but
No, it was
I've
brilliant,
experienced
man.
that. Yeah.
I see and feel a lot of what you're saying about like North American women being they're more independent. They're this. They can do a lot more, and so
Hmm.
then we're like, oh, we don't need to do the same things. But like maybe Latin American or other cultures, women from them, like it's like yeah, like you pick the person up, you do this
Yeah.
because that's just what
You're
their
not
base
splitting the
level
bill
expectation.
here in
Right.
Colombia. Like
Correct.
it's not something that's really like brought up commonly. And meanwhile in the United States, like it's not only brought up, it's like pushed.
Mm,
And it's like I'll never accept it, but it's a shit test in a way too.
for sure. That's true. That's true.
Brother, we are over time here,
Nice,
and
man.
I absolutely love talking to you. First of many or second of many now.
Yeah.
It's not that deep, baby. I think we saved a lot of men and a lot of dead bedrooms out there
I like
with this
that.
conversation.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you having me on.
Love you, buddy.
You too, brother.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right.